clearing of throat. Okay, so let's stack the feet underneath us. Check in with that little triangle that you've got under your feet on both sides. You want to have soft knees and placing those knees above your feet. Place the hips above your knees. Everything's in a nice column. Grow tall through the spine. We're going to take the arms out to the side. Take a deep breath in. Fill the lungs. Connect the fingers to one another at the top. It just causes you to pause briefly and then breathing out as you empty the lungs completely. Growing tall as your arms come down to the side. So imagine you can pull your head away from your hands as your hands come down. Arms come up, breathing in. And lengthen up as the arms come down to the side. The next one, you're going to come up, arms come up to the ceiling. Pause there briefly, don't hold your breath, and then I want you to tuck your chin in and imagine that your arms are like a bit of a waterfall. You're rolling down, but your arms are kind of cascading in front of you. And then they eventually head down towards the floor and you find the bottom of that roll down. You're still articulating through your spine. And then restacking the spine as you breathe out. Arms come up to the ceiling, bring them out to the sides, big circle. Breathing in and breathe out as you cascade yourself down towards the floor, articulating through the spine. Keep the tummy engaged, stretch into the back line of the body. And then breathing in. And breathe out as you restack the spine. Breathing in as you lift the arms up. And the last one as you cascade down towards the floor. Stretching into the back of the body, hamstrings, calves, hold it there. Don't hold the breath, obviously. And I want you just to swivel a little bit with your bum. So you're going to push your left bum backwards just a little bit without shifting your weight, and then push the right bum backwards just a little bit. So it's kind of a swivel action that you're doing, and you're going to feel that sort of on the sides of the lower back. That's where you want to feel that stretch. So it's a little like tail wag that you're doing. You're keeping your weight relatively evenly distributed over your feet. And you're keeping your shoulders soft and your neck relaxed. You're just swiveling, wagging that tail gently and slowly side to side. And doing one more where you're pushing the right bum back and then center yourself. Nod the head yes and shake the head no, just to check in with the neck. And then breathing out, restacking the spine. Lifting all the way up. Arms come out to the side. Lift them up to the ceiling, breathe in, and cascading down just one last time, and you should feel that the lower back is able to move just a little bit more easily. Place your hands flat onto the mat and walk those hands out 3 big steps. Level up the hands under the shoulders and lower the knees gently down to the mat. So in your 4-point position, release the feet out behind you so your toes are no longer tucked. And just center yourself on your mat so you've got a little bit of space behind you, hopefully, and space not too much to the side is not as important. You're going to take your right leg out behind you long and lift it up. So squeeze into the bum. The bum's what lifts, not the lower back. Then you're going to flex that foot on the right side and take a big step forward and just land that foot as close to your right hand as you can. It's not important if it doesn't get there, that's fine. It's just about getting into some sort of deep hip flexion. Then you lift that foot up and you take it out long and straight and find your neutral spine again. And then flex the foot, step it forwards. You're just doing a couple of deep hip flexion steps, and it's quite an important movement for the hip to be able to do. We started on the right side just to see how it feels. So if it doesn't feel comfortable, then do a smaller step. Engage the lower tummy muscles. That's also part of what pulls that knee up. We've got 2 to go. Landing it as softly as you can. So see how much control you can have. And then on the last one, you're going to land it there and stop. So your foot is now towards your right hand. Wriggle it up so it's right up towards your pinky finger on the right side. You're going to take your right hand onto your right knee. Lift yourself up into a kneeling position. Okay, there we go. So So you can keep your right hand on your right knee if that feels okay. Otherwise, you can hang it down to the side. Take your left arm up to your ear and just hold it there. Now you're going to shift the weight forwards onto that right foot. So you're kind of bending the right knee forwards, opening up the front of the left hip. So push your hips forwards into the movement. You want to stay up straight and then the hips go forwards. Yeah, stick that padding under the knee, particularly your kneeling side. And there's a little bit of kneeling work today. So maybe you want to grab some cushions nearby. Hold it there. So you want to feel that stretch in the front of the hip on the left side. That's perfect. And then taking that arm down to your side, take both of your arms now up to both ears. So they're up to the ceiling. See if you can tuck the left toes under the left foot. Okay. Now all you're going to do, don't think of it as a lunge. Think of it as a knee straightening exercise. You're going to just straighten that left knee. So actually you want to keep your body fairly still and then bend the left knee down and then just straighten the left knee. So we're trying to get a stretch into the left hip, but you're also trying to get a little bit of work into that left leg. If the knee doesn't like this, then maybe change your range of movement and stay up, just going a little bit lower instead of all the way down to the mat each time. We're going to just do one more, lifting up and coming down. And then bring your hands down to the sides. You should feel the glute working on the right side and then the quad working on the left side, maybe. And then you can take both of your hands down to either side of your right foot. So you've got one on the outside, one on the inside, and shifting the weight backwards towards the left heel. So your bum goes backwards. You lift your right foot. So keep the heel down, the ball of the foot lifts up, and just swiveling that foot side to side. So you're doing like a little windscreen wiper sort of action with the foot. Here we go, moving from the hip. So you want to feel that hip moving. If it's clicking, then rather just hold it still. Don't cause it to click. You want to feel it stretching and gliding across the hamstring muscle. Go. And then placing that foot back down onto the mat, you're going to shift the weight forwards a little bit. And then shift the weight back. Let the ball of the foot lift as you stretch backwards and then shifting forwards and shifting backwards. So the lift of the foot is fine. It makes it go more into the hamstring. You're almost getting a bit of a pull into the heel so that you can get a tension on the hamstring. We're going to just do one more. Going back, pull. And then flatten that right foot. Take your right hand to the inside of your right foot. Maybe just wriggle the right foot out a little bit so that there's space for your hands to be shoulder width apart. You're going to tuck your toes on the left side and lift the knee on the left side. Okay. Lifting your right foot, take it all the way back to meet the left. You'll find yourself in your front support position. Try and get the bum down. So if you need to move the hands forwards or the feet back, that's okay. If you need to put the knees down for this one, then do so. I'm going to do tiny little half push-ups. So just bend the elbows as much as you can, but keeping your spine straight. Your body stays long. Squeeze the bum a little bit, and that protects your back from sagging. We're on number 3. We're going to do 3 more. 4. Tummy tight. 5. Keep the elbows pointing backwards. Last one. Up. Pause briefly and then place those knees gently back down and find your 4-point position. If you need to sit back for 2 seconds, just take the pressure off the wrists a little bit. Only 2 seconds though. Come back onto all fours. Okay. Take that. Monique was ruthless going up that hill yesterday. So sorry for you. We're going to take the left leg back behind you. Flex the foot. And you're going to step it forwards as far towards the left leg as you can. Left hand as you can. Don't worry too much about getting there. So just head in that direction. Right to the outside of that pinky finger if you can. And then stepping it back, straight lines, long body. And then step it forwards. And then back. So you should feel like there's some work that has to happen. It's partly range of movement. So you might feel like there's joint tightness, hip and back. You might also feel like it actually just doesn't feel strong enough to get there. So it's quite a nice combination of stuff, but it's an important movement. Last one, you're going to land it there. Wriggle it up to the outside edge of that hand. So you want to be close to the pinky finger on the left hand. You know, take your left hand onto your left knee and lift yourself up into that kneeling position. Catch the breath a little bit. Those push-ups always get the heart rate up. I think it's large muscles working close to your heart, just like nails you a little bit, nails me a little bit. Okay, take your right arm up to your ear. Left hand can be wherever it feels okay. You're going to bend yourself forwards onto that left knee, opening up the front of the right hip. You want to feel a nice stretch into the right hip. Put any padding you need to under the right knee. You don't want to hurt the knees for the sake of an exercise. Hold it there. Feel a stretch in that hip. Should be a nice sensation. You shouldn't feel any kind of pain with this one. It should just be a release in the front of that right hip. And then bring yourself back. You're going to take both arms, well, that one arm down. Take both arms up to the ceiling. Tuck the toes on the right side. Getting my lefts and rights muddled today. Lengthen yourself up towards the ceiling and then see if you can just straighten that knee at the back. So just lift the knee off the floor. If you need to, now stay there. So if the range is too hard to go down to the floor and up again, then just do a small little bend and come back up to straight. And do a small little bend. So change your range. You're actually trying to keep your body as quiet as you can. So it will lower a little bit if you're going down to the mat. But if you're doing a smaller range of movement, then actually your body doesn't shift much at all. You're not bending your front knee any more than it has to. It's all about the back leg. So you're just straightening. That's it. Nice. Perfect. Almost there. One more. Forgot to count this lot. Oh my gosh. Pause briefly at the top and then bend that knee all the way back down. Release the foot at the back and place both hands either side of that left foot onto the mat. Okay, move yourself backwards towards the right heel. Let your foot lift in the front on the left side, so just the ball of the foot. And then just swiveling that leg side to side. So it's partly, the movement will be most in the foot, but it's coming from the hip. So you're trying to do a little swivel. That knee can be fairly bent. It doesn't have to be super straight on the front knee. It's quite a hard one to see, this one. But yeah, the hamstring should be pulling and gliding, and the stretch should be moving as you move the foot, but it should stay consistently in the hamstring area. There we go, nearly done. One or two more swipes. Yeah, that's it. And then pause briefly. You can flatten that foot down, move your weight forwards over that leg, and then shift your weight backwards. Let the ball of the foot lift as you stretch into the hamstring, and then come forwards again. So just a couple of forwards and backwards releases, moving through that stretch, stretching it back. Keep the tummy just a little bit engaged the whole time, just because why not, right? Coming back and forwards. Last one, stretch the hamstring, place that all the way down. You can move your left hand to the inside of your left foot and wriggle that left foot out so there's space for your hands to be shoulder width apart. You're going to tuck your toes on the right foot and lift that right knee up. Here we go. Take the left foot and meet the right foot. Find your front support. Try and get the bum in line with the knees and the ankles and all that stuff. So hold that front support. And when we go into the push-ups, then if you need to drop the knees, then drop the knees down to the mat. Let's try for 6 push-ups. So bend those elbows as low as you can, keeping the integrity of your position. So your body stays like a rod as you bend up and down. I'm on 3, I think. 4, squeeze the bum a little bit, protect the back. 5, last one. 6, pause for a second and bring those knees gently back down. Sit back into your rest position. Take the pressure off the wrists. This is like real life classes. You know, you watch some Pilates classes and like the lady or whoever's presenting is like perfectly made up. She moves like a supermodel, like has, you know, all the gear, whatever. It's like, not like that here. Your instructor's like puffing more than the rest of the class. Anyway, it's all good. Okay, keeping it real. Pull yourselves up onto your knees and then just roll yourself all the way up so that you're kneeling up tall. Okay, there we go. Take both arms out in front of you, parallel to the floor. Your knees are going to be about hip distance apart. So just make sure they're kind of stacked under your hips. All right, pull the tummy tight. If you need padding under the knees, please put padding or just like an extra rolled up towel, because sometimes the hinging is not so great on the knees. Squeeze the bum a little bit. So I want you to tuck your pelvis a little bit underneath you, and then you're going to lean yourself back. The hinging happens at the knees, and then bring yourself back up and tall. And hinge backwards at the knees. Your body stays straight. Nice. And coming up tall. So you only move as far as you can without dipping those hips backwards and then coming up. Nice. Excellent. And then remember to breathe. You might find it helps to breathe out as you go back, or maybe breathe out as you come back up. Let's just do 2 more. We were aiming for 8. I think we got there. And 1 more. Leaning back. And coming up tall. It's always deceiving to say 1 more because your arms are going to stay out there. You're going to lean back. Don't go quite as far back as you were maybe pushing the limit there. I want you to open your right arm out to the side. You're swiveling on your knees, as in swiveling on your knees. So you're rotating through your spine and your pelvis is rotating to the side. Swivel to the left, open the shoulders to that side and come back up. What I'm trying to say is that you're not lifting yourself up out of that hinge. So stay in your hinge and then twist to the side and then come forwards. 1 more to the other side, twist to the left. Stay in the hinge, forwards and coming up nice and tall. Just give those quads a bit of a wriggle. You should feel it mostly in the quads. The tummy is just doing the stability work, but the pull is happening here in the front of the legs. We've got 1 more set to go. Arms out to the front. Hinge yourself back. Now try not to lose integrity of the movement. So stay in your hinge, which means that straight line. That straight line then swizzles, that's a word, going to the right and coming back straight. Everything can twist, but the straight line remains. It's as if you're like one of those candy canes. There we go. You're twisting in line with the stripes. To the left is your last one. Coming back to the center and bring yourself all the way up. Arms come down to the sides and turning sideways to your mat. So you're in the middle of the mat. Just turn yourself sideways. Here we go. I'm going to take your left leg out to the side. See if you can flatten the left foot onto the mat. So get it as flat as you can. Your right hand is going to go down wide of your knee. So you want to be able to almost have your knee under your hip and your hand under your shoulder, but there's like a slightly wider base at the bottom. You're going to bring your top hand. Yeah, let's put it on the hips. That's good. Because that way we can check in with the hips, whether they're moving. Your hips stay still. You keep a connection into the arch of the rainbow. So pull up into that waistline and then just see if you can lengthen that leg away so that it floats up off the ground. And you're just holding it there. Here we go. And then bring it slowly back down. And then lifting up again. Keep the integrity of that arch. So you're lifting up into the waistline and slowly down. And then lifting it up. Last one. And lift it up. Hold it there. Sorry, I should have given you that warning a little bit. Flex the foot. I'm going to see if we can do this one without falling over. Stabilize from the spine, from the tummy muscles, and lifting into that waistline. Really, you're about to get kicked. You're going to move that foot forwards, point the toes, move it backwards. Move the foot forwards, point the toes. You don't have to worry too much about the foot business. That's like choreography. But if you feel inspired, then it's flex forwards, point backwards. Here we go. We're just doing slow movements just quickly before the hip cramps. And 1 more forwards, coming
back, pause there, and then bring it back to your center line and place that foot down onto the mat. Let's see how this one feels. You can either keep your knees down. Otherwise, I want you to pull up even more into that waistline and see if you can slide the bottom leg out to behind the top leg. If that feels impossible, then all you're going to do is you're going to try and lift the knee and hold and then put it down again. And then lift the knee and then put it down. So you don't have to slide out the leg if it feels unsafe. Lift the knee and then put it down. Hold it there, and then gently bend both your knees, bring them down to the mat, and collapse there. Let's change over to the other side. So you're going to roll your feet around. In fact, no, come back onto your knees. Sorry. Here we go. Putting the, what hand is this? This is your left hand. Julia, it's your right. Yeah, you're going to be opposite. So left hand down to the side, Monique. That's it. And let that foot come out long. Flatten it onto the mat if you can. Get that rainbow arch first. So remember, you're lifting up into the waistline. And check that your top of the arch is between your hand and your knee. I don't know if that makes sense, but you don't want to be kind of like all on your knee or all on your shoulder. You want to be fairly evenly spaced over that. Lifting into the waist again, hand on the hip, and you're going to float that leg up to the side. And then come slowly down. If your neck struggles with this position, you can turn it to look down to your hand. And slowly down. 4, we've got 2 more. And on number 6, we're going to pause up there. So last one, stop and hold. Flex that foot and bring the leg forwards and then point backwards. Flex forwards, point backwards. The idea with this one is to keep everything else as quiet as you can. It will shift a little bit, it has to. But keep that leg at the same height to the floor. Almost there. And back. Last one. Take a back pause there. And then place that foot down in line with the rest of your body. And hold it there. Oh, I'm getting like a hip cramp here. Okay, so pushing into that long leg, so your leg that's out long, squeeze into the armpit and just test. See if you can lift that knee. Maybe it can lift, maybe it can't. Sometimes one side's stronger than the other. And then relax. Perfect. So if you can take the leg out, that's great. Take it out there and hold it there. If you can't, just keep trying to lift the knee and then relax. Hold, hold, hold. And bend both the knees. Coming back down into a sitting position. Oh my gosh, okay. Lying onto your, not quite lying onto your tummy. I want you just to turn. So if you're sitting on your side, turn so that your hands are wide on the mat. Knees can be down, and then start lowering your hips down towards the mat. You're not going to flop down. So the only reason I don't want you to lie on your tummy and start there is that I want you to control the movement going down towards the mat. The tummy is tight. You're trying to get an extension into the back, but it should be controlled and it should be relatively comfortable. It should just feel like you are pushing the range of movement. The tummy's pulled in, your bum is squeezed. So give the bum a little bit of a squeeze. And if you need to, you bend the elbows, move the hands out or sideways or forwards or whatever makes it feel like you're still pushing the range of movement, but it's not horribly uncomfortable. Hold it there for just a few more seconds. Are you strong into the shoulders, squeezing into the armpits? And then gently start lowering yourself down. Imagine you're peeling your spine down onto the mat. One vertebra at a time from the back. And then your forehead can go down to the mat. Lovely. Move the hands to frame your face. So arms frame your face. 90 degrees at the elbows, 90 degrees at the armpits. Your legs are out long. And actually, I'm confused. Put the elbows under your shoulders. Sorry. So you're up in that like we're reading a book on the beach. Wouldn't that be nice? There we go. Okay. Push up between the shoulder blades. So you want to just have a strong connection across the shoulder blades. Pull the tummy in just a little bit. We're going to do single leg kicks. So you're pulling your heel. Let's start on the right side. So pull your heel towards your bum. And we do 3 kicks like that, breathing out. So 2, 3, and then straighten it out nice and long. And then pull the other one, 2, 3, and straighten it out long. As you straighten it out long, I want you to see if you can start floating the legs just a little bit. So just lift like the top of your foot away from the mat, push up between the shoulder blades, and kick on the right, 2, 3, and straighten it out. Don't quite rest that leg though. Squeeze on the other side and straighten out. And then try and focus on the breath. 1, 2, 3, straighten out. Straighten out. So it's all about the hamstrings, but it's also a lot about the glutes. So you're floating the legs using your glutes. And out. Out. And you're trying to keep everything else as quiet as you can. So you're stabilizing with the tummy. You're squeezing the bum. And out. And out. One more on the left side. Straightening them out, hovering the feet, and then lower them all the way back down. Now you can lie yourself down onto your tummy, all the way down onto your chest, forehead on the mat, frame your face with your arms. Okay, I forgot that I wanted to do that one just to like release the quads a little bit and activate hamstrings. Anyway, we're going to breathe in, inflate the lungs, lift the forehead, lift the chest, breastbone pushes into the mat. So find your little melting point across those shoulder blades, right over where the bra strap would be. And you're going to squeeze the bum to anchor the pelvis. So we're not using our lower back, we're using all middle back. And then we're going to float those arms up. Don't hold the breath. So once you've inflated the lungs to get yourself into that movement of lifting, that's when we then unbrace. So we don't hold the breath to force ourselves to stay there. Holding it there for a little bit longer. And come slowly all the way down. Wriggle the bum side to side just to release any tension. And we're going to lift up again. So we're just checking in, finding the right little muscles that we need for the next one. Breathing in so that we lift the spine at the top, anchor the pelvis at the bottom, melt below the shoulder blades, push the sternum into the mat and lift those arms up. Squeeze the shoulder blades just a little bit more. Hold it there for a few seconds. Nice. Trying not to overwork that lower back. Your breathing is relaxed. Below the bum is relaxed, so the legs are out long and relaxed. And come all the way back down. Rest your top half there. You're going to squeeze the bum, push the pelvis into the mat. So you're now anchored and you should have a very relaxed lower back. So in this position, it should feel okay, particularly with the bum squeeze. I want you to tighten both of your legs and float them up off the mat, using the bum to lift them. And then lower them slowly back down. And then lift them up. Don't quite relax the bum completely. You'll feel it's quite easy to lower them down and then relax everything and bum becomes like a blob. So squeeze the bum and lifting up. Just so you know, I'm referring to my bum, not your bums. Blob bum. Slowly down. Keep the tension in the glutes. Let's call them glutes. It's so much nicer. And down. So we have tight, pretty bums. Up we go. And slowly down. And last one, lifting up. Squeeze the bum, relax into the back, push the pelvis into the mat, and relax all the way down. Okay, taking your arms out in front of you. Let me move myself a little bit here, but into a low V. So you want your arms out long in front of you, not too close to your ears. So they can be upright next to your ears, but that makes it really hard on your shoulders. So you might want to move them out into a low V just a little bit. Your legs can be in line with your hips, so fairly close together. We're going to breathe in and we're going to just float the forehead, so not too high. Squeeze the bum, anchor the pelvis. Don't hold the breath there. And now we're going to tighten the bum a little bit more so we can float those legs up. And we're going to melt into that lower shoulder blade area to lift the arms up. Shoulders are away from our ears, bum is squeezed. And we're going to go into swimming. So you're going to lift your right arm, left leg, lift left arm, right leg, right arm, left leg, slowly to start off with. And as you find you can hold it there, you can start testing your speed. So see how stable you can stay with a faster kicking and arm speed? And can you keep the shoulders away from the ears? And your breathing can stay long and relaxed, or you can breathe in time with the movements. That's entirely up to you. Check in with the bum. Make sure it's still squeezing. Got about 10 seconds to go. And center everything. Don't quite rest. Squeeze the bum and lower it all back down. Nicely done. Place your hands under your shoulders, elbows tuck up, and push yourself all the way up and back into a resting position. Just before your bum goes down to your heels, try and round your spine just a little bit more. So as you lower, you get a really nice release into the lower back in particular. Holding it there. Oh, it's got my heart rate up. I think it's still up actually. Hasn't come down yet from yesterday. Right. Nice deep breath in and out. Enjoy the resting position. Maybe you want to move the knees a little bit wider so you can get a deeper hip flexion. See what feels comfortable. See if you can rest your forehead down or get a pillow under your forehead. And as you breathe in, you stretch between your ribs, so into those intercostal muscles that can get quite tight, particularly with stress or anxiety. Our rib cage gets contracted. And it exacerbates that sensation of anxiety because your lungs can't expand, you can't get enough oxygen in. So just stretch out the ribs. Deep breaths all the way in, emptying the lungs completely on the way out. And just one more breath in and out. And then you can pull yourself all the way up because sadly we are not done. Roll yourself over onto your back and lying down on the mat with your knees bent. Okay. I think we should start like a breath class or something, just like chill and breathe and stretch and stuff. Okay, arms are going to be down by your sides. Your feet are hip distance apart. Thighs are parallel to one another. So be aware that the knees often try and flop out or conk in. So keep them in a nice parallel position. Heels quite close to your bum, so it's not too difficult. Squeezing the bum, rolling the hips up. So articulating through the spine into a nice easy pelvic curl. Lift as high as it feels comfortable, but remember you want to keep the bum working and the hamstrings working. You don't want the lower back to get involved with this one. And then rolling slowly back down. It's another way to do breath work. So as you pause at the bottom, breathe in. As you start rolling, you start breathing out. It takes one long out breath to get all the way to the top. As you breathe in, you pause at the top. And as you breathe out, you start rolling all the way back down. So maybe try and focus a little bit. Let's do 3 more. Focus on your breath. Pause at the bottom, breathe in, breathe out as you move. Squeeze the glutes, hamstrings. Weight distribution of your feet is even. Maybe 2 more, depending on the speed that you're going. Slow breath. So it's all super slow and controlled. It shouldn't feel difficult. It can just feel accurate. So make it as precise as you can, as conscious as you can. 1 more. All the way up. Squeeze into those perky bum cheeks. And then rolling all the way back down. And release the pelvis at the bottom. Keeping your hands down there, take one leg up to tabletop and then the other leg up to tabletop. Floppy shins. So only your knees are pointing straight up to the ceiling and your shins are just kind of flopping down there. So heels can flop towards your bum. You're going to start by just tapping one toe down to the mat and then bring it back up and change to the other side. The idea with this one is that hip dissociation. You're going to be almost jogging with the legs. They're kind of just flowing up and down. Your spine is staying stable and your lower tummy is doing all the work. Hip flexors will become involved, but you can ignore them. They are elastic and they are strong and they can just do what they need to do. The tummy's got to keep that spine in a lovely, safe position. Whether it's neutral, so if you start feeling your lower back, then tilt the pelvis and push the lower back onto the mat. If you can, then try and keep that neutral spine, so there's a little bit of a space in the lower back. And keep jogging on the spot and keep breathing. And the shoulders are relaxed and the neck is relaxed. Just the lower tummy is saying good morning. And then we're going to start doing nice big circles. So imagine there's a ping pong ball on the mat that you're brushing towards your bum with the ball of your foot. Big, stretchy circles. That lower tummy is still working. Change your range or your angles if you feel clicking in the hips. So you should be tracking almost like, I'm not ignoring the time, don't panic, but almost like on a train track. You imagine those like shafts that go between the wheels. You're going straight lines with your, what are they called? Not shanks, those are lamb shanks. Anyway, whatever. Those thingamajobs, you know what I'm talking about. So keeping it real. Keep doing those circles. We've got about 5 seconds to go. So maybe 5 more circles. And then change direction. This is the hard one, pushing those ping pong balls away from you. Your foot must brush the mat every time. Challenge the circles with being bigger with the feet. Tummy's still working. Ignore the hip flexors, they're burning, but ignore them. The tummy, it's all about the tummy. And the breath, and the relaxed shoulders. You're nearly done. 10 seconds. And bringing both knees up to your chest, well-deserved rest. And maybe you want to rock side to side just a little bit. There we go. And you can place one foot down onto the mat and then the other leg down to the mat. Move your feet wide outside of the edge of your mat and just rolling those hips side to side. Go slowly to start off with. In fact, we're not going to go fast at any point, but initially you could be really slow through the rotation of your knees, moving side to side. So you can go into quite a deep stretch on the hip that's kind of lifting up. So the one that's left behind but lifts towards the ceiling, that's where you're going to feel that hip flexor stretch. And it should be fairly intense because we've just done a ton of hip flexor work. Rolling to the side and to the other side. Just one more to each side, or one more or 3 more or whatever. Just even yourself out a little bit so you don't stretch more on one than the other. And then bring both the knees up to the ceiling. Walk those feet back to the center of your mat. You're going to bring both of the legs up to tabletop. Take your arms up to the ceiling. You're going to place both of your hands onto your left knee. Tuck the chin in, roll the shoulders up, and push onto that left knee as you straighten the right leg out, and then change over to the other side. Keep pushing on the knee that stays behind, and come back. Change sides. Breathe out as that leg goes out. Get a big connection as you push onto the knee. That's what connects into the deeper tummy muscles. And breathe. Can't do much chatting on this one. Keep the shoulders at the same height. Don't let the shoulder height drop. If the neck's taking strain, you could put one hand behind the neck, but try and get it to work because you've only got 3 more to go, or 4. Even yourself out. Stop with your hands on the right leg and bring the left leg in. Relax the shoulders and the neck all the way down, and just turn your head side to side a few times, rolling it on the mat so that you can release any tension that's built up there. Nice. Okay, so we're going to add on to that if you feel up to it. If you don't, then stick with the single leg stretch, is the one that we just did now. Otherwise, we're going to give it a shot for like the the little like next level one. So take both of your legs to tabletop, glue your legs together this time. Take your arms up to the ceiling, keep them there, and as you lift your chin and lift your shoulders, your arms will come down to in line with your shins. Here we go. Pause there briefly. You're not holding onto your legs. You're going to straighten your legs out and take your arms back to match that angle. Swoop your arms around and bring your knees back in. Arms back, legs out. Swoop the arms, whoops, and bring the knees back in. Breathe out as the legs go out. That's what holds that contraction. And back. Otherwise, going to single leg. Keep going. And back. We've got 3 to go. If you're doing singles, do 6. And back. And back. I think last one. I think that was 3. Oh, well, let's do one more just for good luck. Bring those knees back in. Head and shoulders go back down. Nicely done. The neck works super hard with that. Roll it side to side. Look to each side, backwards and forwards. There we go. Just releasing that neck. We don't want anyone to have a neck issue tomorrow morning. Okay. Take both of your hands and pop them just under your bum. So basically your thumbs are going to be under the bum and your hands are flat on the mat. Your knees are still up quite high. So we're going to start with this one. That's fine, the ball's gone. We're going to start with our easy option. So you're going to straighten one leg out, nice and low if you can, and then bring it back and change the other side. You're keeping your back flat on the mat now. So plant that lower back into the mat and then bring the legs back and forward. So you're just changing sides, nice and controlled. Your spine should feel safe. It's slow enough that the hips shouldn't feel compromised at all. If it's difficult, you can lift the legs to a slightly higher angle. That being said, if it's difficult, that's not a bad thing, right? Out. And pause briefly. We're going to take both of our legs out at the same time. Keep that back planted onto the mat. The only way you go to the next level, so the only way you lower your legs a little bit more is if you can keep your back flat on the mat the whole time. So that lower back is not allowed to lift as your legs straighten. And breathe out as the legs go out. Almost done. 4 to go. Keep that tummy working. 3, 2. If it's singles, then you do doubles of counting. 1. And bring those knees up. Hug them to your chest. That's just a nice way of sort of isolating the hip flexors and the lower tummy again. Doing lots of that today, actually. We've got one more. So this is the last add-on. See if you can do it. So take the legs to tabletop. Your hands are still just under your bum. So pop those thumbs back under the bum. Straighten the legs up as much as they'll go towards the ceiling. If they don't go super straight, that's fine. If they're slightly bent, that's okay. And now I want you to slowly start lowering your legs down towards the mat, but keeping your back on the mat, and then bring them back up again. So now it's a hinging movement. The knees don't bend at all. You straighten them down towards the mat and you bring them back up. So your easier option is to do less of a lowering. So you just don't lower them as much. And then breathe in as you come up, out as the legs go down, in as the legs come up. We're nearly done. Got 3 to go. Lower them as slowly as you can. This is our last hip flexor and lower abdominal exercise. Last one. All the way up and hug those knees to the chest. Take one leg out long on the mat. So let it go all the way down flat onto the mat. Pull the left knee up towards your chest and just let that hip flexor relax on that one side. Hello, Zaki dog. We're fostering a cat at the moment, so I smell amazing. to my doggo, who doesn't know cats at all. Straight leg out, and then bring that right knee back up to meet your left knee. Hold on to your right knee and straighten the left leg out. Zach, go lie down, boy. Go lie down. Hug that knee up as tightly as you can and just rest into the left hip. So just try and let it relax down onto the mat. I'm getting a proper investigation here by my dog. A few more seconds. Come on, boy. Go lie down. I've not betrayed you. And now you can put your right foot onto the mat, cross the left ankle over onto the right knee, lift the right leg up, and we're doing our good old glute stretch. Back to go lie down. So pulling the right knee up as tightly as you can. Push out on that left knee with your left elbow, and maybe create a little bit of space into the lower back to lengthen the tailbone away from you. Someone gave me grief the other day about calling it a tailbone. It's like, we're not monkeys anymore, you know? I'm like, well, have you met my boys? Hold it there. And then gently release that. Don't uncross the leg. Slide the left leg all the way over the right leg. And then hold onto your shins. And pull the ankles apart a little bit. But more importantly, you're pulling those knees up to the chest. If this one doesn't feel great, then don't do it. Rather do a little bit longer on your glute stretch, so that normal stretch without the legs crossed over one another. Might not feel totally safe. And then not uncrossing the legs, still not uncrossing the legs. Take that right leg out long onto the mat. Hold onto your left knee with your right hand and roll the hips over to the right. Just let them kind of twizzle over. And maybe you'll get a click, which might feel quite nice. Hold it there. So you've got a rotation into your spine now. Your left knee is soft towards the floor. Take your left arm and start doing a little half snow angel up towards your ear and then down towards the back of your bum. Just a little movement with that arm. Sliding it around. Let your arm and your shoulder be heavy. If this hurts the shoulder at all, then change your range of movement. Don't force the shoulder to do anything it doesn't like. Just sliding that left arm up and down the floor. Nice. And one more time. And then find that little sticky point. So you'll find there's a point that feels like it just stretches a little bit more than anywhere else. And pause there briefly. Imagine you're sending your left knee away from the fingertips of your left hand. A little bit more of a traction into that spine, into the rotation. And then relax, slide the arm down a little bit towards your side. Help your left knee go over with your right hand. So push it upwards towards the sky and roll back onto your back. You can cross your right ankle onto your left knee and lift that left leg up. Hold behind the left thigh. Pull the knee up as tightly as you can. And then push with the right elbow onto the right thigh. Otherwise, push with your hand. So if your knee stays down, that's fine. Push with your hand out onto that knee. It's still an important rotation to get into the hip without forcing anything. And then maybe arch into the lower back just a little bit to lengthen that tailbone away from you. Deep breaths in. Give yourself extra oxygen. Yeah, it's the weekend. And sliding that right leg all the way over if that feels okay. Hold on to your shins. Pull those knees up towards your chest. Otherwise, stay in your glute stretch. Don't force it. The body should feel happy after this stuff. Shouldn't feel like you've done something that wasn't a great idea. And just holding. If you are doing this piriformis stretch, you should feel a deep stretch into your right glute. And then we can not quite uncross the legs, but release the left leg out long onto the mat. Hold onto the right knee and roll those hips over to the left side. Just find as much rotation as you can, and then start sliding that right arm up to your ear and down to the back of your bum. Move slowly through that movement. So don't force the shoulder to click or clunk or do anything that it doesn't like. If you've got any rotator cuff issues, then this might not feel so great. You might want to just change your range a little bit. Try and soften into that stretch. Nearly there. All the way up. And then last rotation with the arm. Find that little sticking point. Hold it in that position and imagine that you're creating a little bit more space between your right knee and your right fingertips. And just hold it there. You can even pull a little bit with your left hand if that feels nice. So you could put a bit of extra traction into that rotation. And then sliding that hand back down towards your bum. Help your right knee to go all the way back to the center. Roll yourself onto your back and bring those knees up to the chest for another little hug the knees in nice and tightly. You could round your spine up, so look to your knees. Try and touch your nose to your knees. Holding it there. And then just hold behind the back of your legs. Give yourself a kick and sit yourself up. Okay, we're almost done. Promise. Felt like that hip flexor work was quite a lot. Maybe I underestimated that a bit. Okay, place your hands onto the front of your shins. We're going to sit in our little ball position. So floating your feet up off the mat, round yourself into a little ball. Check that you're far enough, sorry, to the front of your mat that you've got space behind you because we're going to roll like a ball. Keeping your C curve in your spine. So that's really important that you keep your spine rounded. You keep your chin tucked in. And as you breathe in, that's what rolls you back. So you breathe in and out brings you back up. And just keep rolling a few times. So let's just practice that rolling movement. Try and come back up to balancing each time. Just 2 more. Coming back up, hold yourself in that little circle. Maybe close your eyes briefly. You're just balancing on your bum bones. Your shoulders are away from your ears, so careful that you're not hunched up to the shoulders. And then you can open the eyes, place the feet back down to the mat. Don't let your feet go too far away from you. Let your knees flop out to the sides and just hold on to your ankles. Your knees won't go super low with this one because your feet are quite close to your pelvis. And I want you to pull yourself up as straight as you can go. And even if you're leaning back a little bit, lift your heart to the ceiling. So imagine that you are lifting that chest up. You're offering your, I don't know, offering your sternum to the gods of the ceiling. What? And then rolling back down, curling your spine over, go into a little C curve. You'll feel a stretch in the groin. And then lift yourself up, holding yourself on your shins. So you're not doing much work per se. You're just mobilizing a little bit. Squeeze those shoulder blades together, open the chest, and bring yourself down and round and forward. And lifting the breastbone, arching the back just a little bit, and rounding the spine. And relaxing up tall. You can let go of the shins and you're going to just turn yourself over so that you are on your haunches, on the balls of your feet, pushing your hands into the mat. Keep your hands flat or fingertips, it doesn't matter. You're going to just stick the bum up into the sky so that you release those hamstrings. So as
straight as the knees go is less important than how much you're folded down towards your thighs. And then bend the knees to release the stretch. And then straighten those knees. Push the bum up towards the ceiling. And bend the knees to release. Straighten again. Push, 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 stretch. And soften those knees. Take the hands away from the mat as you find the bottom of your roll down position. So soft knees. Take a deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, you slowly start restacking the spine, building each one on top of the other one, like little Lego blocks. Standing up tall, grow tall through the crown of your head. Take those arms out to the sides. Deep breath in. And breathing out. And one more time. Lots of oxygen. Lift the heels, grow taller. And leave your head behind as you drop the heels down so that you lengthen through the spine. And there you have it, ladies. Thank you for joining me. Gosh, I look like I've just gotten out of bed.